All right. Welcome, guys, to Children of Dionysus. Today's guest is Jana Burnette. Jana, how are you?
I am doing great. I was just saying, I have no idea what we're going to get into today, but I'm looking forward to it all the same. This is going to be awesome.
Nice. I'm very excited to get into your story and your experience as somebody who has you've done everything. You've done it all. You've seen various angles of the industry and stuff like that. So you probably have a lot of really insightful knowledge to share. I know for a fact that you do because we've worked together and there's a mutual client of ours that is now working with you. So that's cool. Let's start off with the Batgirl origin story. So where are you from?
Oh, Okay, Lynchburg, Virginia,
Okay.
and then went to school and lived in Dallas. I got my BFA from SMU. They have either full-on acting concentration or if you want to choose other stuff. I chose to concentrate in stage management. Very grateful for that. I learned production skills and then took those over to New York City, and that's where I really started to do a lot of production, getting into casting, and then just naturally started to fall into the teaching of everybody was like, how are you on these film sets all the time? And what's going on in the industry? And yeah, and then it's been some time in Baltimore, DC, and now I'm here in Atlanta. You know,
Nice.
wait.
And you graduated magna cum laude from
Aw
SMU.
shucks. Aw shucks. I did top 10% of my class. And that and let me be clear, that's not just the acting, though of course we had, good students there. It was like the whole school. And I don't know why I stressed so hard on that one. I thought that that was like super super important to me at the time. It was for one of my scholarships. I had to keep like an insane GPA to keep it, but besides that, that's just in my head. So I would recommend to people like take your grades seriously, but if like enjoy your time. I probably could have enjoyed that a little bit more had I not been so OCD about some award that, it's cool, it's great, but it's not definitely not needed for this industry if we if we say it that way.
Nice. So you grew up in Lynchburg, Virginia. Is that the north or south of Virginia? I can't place it in the
Like
map.
middle of the road.
Okay.
Yeah, and very blessed. The Virginia School of the Arts, which God bless it. That's like a dream of mine to see if I can revive that in the future. It's not there right now. We have other arts programs throughout the state, but the Virginia School of the Arts was associated with my high school, and what a blessing about the amazing education we got. In singing and dance, in addition to my director and the time had like a military background, and he ran us tight. And I'm grateful, you guys. Like, I love being in the arts, and we need to be good people that are punctual and business. And the our end product speaks a lot. It's not always just about the process. There are times and places for that, but it was cool to learn a lot about structure and business and quality right out of the gate.
I mean, it sounds like it served you well when you got to university, having that sort of structure.
Yes, very. I was shocked when, I mean, trust me, we still got in trouble if we were late and everything, but there was just so much more breathing room. And I was like, wait a second, what's going on here? But when I was working professionally and I was the kid that showed up, 15 minutes early for work, and they were like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I'm on time. They're like, no, you're early. I was like, no, 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 no. Let me explain something to you. I'm on time. I'm technically almost 5 minutes late, but I'm here. So yeah, and then you get that extra 15 minutes to be the person that's showing off. Well, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like you're the person that go, cool, all right, well, Jana's here. Either we schmooze for a few minutes with the people, the director and the producers and all that, or they put you to work right away and whatever. Like even if they put you to work right away, you get to be the person they rely on. And that's how I got a lot of opportunities. You just want to be that person they rely on.
So it sounds to me like actors aren't just kind of flighty. That might be kind of a
Okay,
rumor.
let's talk about it. Let's talk. Okay, so how many of you guys have experienced that stereotype of like, oh my God, my husband, he's so cute. He's like, oh, Jana has her degree in underwater basket weaving. And we joke on with each other all the time because obviously you don't need a degree in acting. There's many other ways to learn this craft. But it is so unfortunately. sometimes people are just like, what, you're an actor? Okay, you're a waiter. Or, they think you're flighty or too artsy, or, you can't hold your own, or you're thinking like you don't know how to really think concretely. Um, and so that's just been a stereotype. And so, if you show people that you have that beautiful mix of, because you're a business owner, like you are your product, and you need to be a business owner in addition to knowing your art. So being able to show people that any business skills, which is being responsible, being reliable, being able to show up on time and, go that extra mile in a respectful way and be good with people, like those are things in your control. And that's actually a super important part of the casting process or getting an agent.
How does an actor develop those skills if they don't start a business themselves or they didn't have an instructor like you have?
Sure. Part of this is just being a good person, to
Okay.
be very perfectly honest. For me, that's more biblical. Like it's the teachings in the Bible. Be a good person, do unto others, and be responsible, care for others, and that whatever that natural loving and supportive energy that you have of other people, it's going to shine forth. And that being a good person with responsibility and just thinking about others. How would you would you be irritated if you guys set a plan and somebody was late? Would you be irritated if somebody said they would do something for you and they didn't, or somebody was rude to you? Like, you don't want do unto others as you would have done unto you. Like, come on. So, yeah, definitely starting with there and then being able to give yourself grace and not being so hard on yourself of like, oh, well, I must have messed, I'm not where I want to be in my career. So I messed up and work harder and, beating yourself up over it. I'm looking forward to it. I think we'll get into some of that today because I'm very passionate about teaching people of how to enjoy this process and breathe through it and not think that it's all your fault or angry about wherever you are if you're not as far as you want to be.
I love that. Well, how would you if somebody was sort of trying to figure out like where they stack, where they are, maybe some of the things that they need to work on, like how do you balance those two things between that comparison, which is the thief of joy, and being and
Uh-huh.
like beating themselves up, and also acknowledging, okay, there were certain things that I need to maybe fortify, things that I need to work on, things that I need to get to work on. Like how do you square those two
Yeah.
things?
Oh, goodness. Okay. So I normally teach that. Let's first talk about the four pillars of a successful acting career. Starts with your mindset, which I'm sure we'll spend a hot second on today.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's relationships, marketing materials, and then definitely at the end, the last thing I say is technique. And it's not because, oh, we can leave it off. It's still important. But all these other things, you can be the most talented, amazing actor in the world, but if you're activating in a vacuum, aka without relationships, if you're activating without telling the world what you can do, aka without marketing, and if you are acting without, while being beating up on yourself and not wanting to put yourself out there, aka stinking thinking, poor mindset, what's the point? So you definitely do need to have all of that. So if you like a concept that was really hard for me to grasp for a while, I have amazing parents, like let's put that out there. But definitely we were raised with like hardcore work ethic. And so I'm very grateful to be married to an awesome man that was like trying to teach me like if all you can do is your best, and if you've done your best, you've done all that you can do. And I just that didn't that concept just didn't fit for me for a while. It's like, well, if I had done my best, I would have succeeded. And he's like, no, that's not true. Like success is not 100% in your control. But if you can control what you do have the ability to do in terms of you showed up with a good attitude, or you learned something today, you did take action steps today, then you did what you took steps today. Like I'm maybe you've heard it from some books. So there's like a big thing right now of like 1% better. Just be 1% better today. And then, oh gosh, I'm messing up math. But in a year, that's a lot. That's a lot of percent. That gets a long way.
I think it's
Yeah.
365%.
There you go. There you go. A lot of a percent. Yeah.
How long did it take you to unwind, unlearn that
Unwind.
mindset?
Oh my, that's great. That's great. I think Honestly, wow, I was not expecting to talk about my awesome hubby so much, but he's pretty awesome. And I think that it wasn't until I got married that, and had that daily accountability partner from an awesome person. Obviously, got to make sure you're with the right person.
Right.
But it wasn't until I had that daily accountability partner that I realized that even though I'm, I would like to think, even if you talk to people 10 years ago that knew me, they're like, Jana's nice, Jana's hardworking, Jana's good. But that was more external, and I wasn't showing people as much of the internal. Internally, I was still very hard on myself. But when you have
Mm.
the accountability partner, whether it is, your spouse or, as you're getting started, if you have like, make sure, oh my gosh, please make sure you have good, healthy roommates around you if you are doing the roommate thing, or, those friends that you check in on regularly. If you don't let people see or understand what's going on, then it's just going to continue to grow. So, yeah, it's really just been in the past 5 years of knowing my husband that has really gotten to be this beautiful cleaning up of, hey, Jana's pretty great. And, for you guys, realizing the gifts and the awesomeness that you bring to the table and not being so hard on yourself when things aren't 100%, because they never will be. But did you learn from it? Cool, great. Next. So, yeah.
Where do you feel like for you the fear was in showing that part of yourself or allowing people to see that inside?
Sure. Definitely the perfectionism, which I've met with a lot of other awesome actors that I've coached and worked with. There's this perfectionism when we get told that the top percent of actors are the ones that are making the money and being the thing and doing this dream. And especially I would like to encourage more of, well, of course we want to speak realistically, and I use that term in a loose way. Well, of course, we want to be real with people of like this, you might not make it overnight, but we are in a cool career where you could, um, you know, the like being told over and over and over again, this is a hard career, it's going to be difficult. And so in my brain, I started to compound, okay, well, if I'm perfect, then I'll be totally fine. And then I will. And so then that's such a thief, and it's not a true thing at all, because you start getting into these not so cute patterns of stinking thinking of like, you had an awesome day, you went to an audition or you submitted for jobs, you worked out, you ate something healthy, you read a book, you listened to an awesome podcast, you grew today. And that, but because you didn't, oh, I didn't make money, I didn't get booked, I didn't, and you just start looking at all the ways that it wasn't as good as it could be.
Mm.
Well, that's exhausting. And it's also not true that it's only the top of the top of the top that is making it in this industry. And we're just in such an awesome industry where there's no set time and there's no set path. There are averages and there are, statistically speaking, yeah, that's right. Listen to me, math. There's things where you're more likely to put yourself in a position of success if you do this or that. But it's if you're 40 and you're like, I've been doing this since I was in my 20s, what's wrong with me? That doesn't mean anything. You may just
Mm.
be coming into your own. Not there's such a it's such a myth that, okay, if you're quit what your 20s or your prime, your 30s or your prime, or you know whatever it is, it's some people, they just are becoming, their most marketable self, I suppose, is the best way
Mm.
to give it. Because that's all it is. When you start to see somebody widely, that's more of just, okay, well, the general public has accepted them now as a marketing, and that was them becoming where they are in terms of where their timing of their best role and their look and their um skill sets intertwined. There's a lot to unpack there. I'm talking a lot. What's up? What do we think?
No, this is great. I talk away. I mean, it's like, I you have so much value and you have so much like
Ah, sure.
experience to share. So it's really important for people to hear it, and it's important for them to understand it from someone who has been and had all these different positions, like, because you know what I mean, because perspective is important, right? Like if you're just an actor, all you understand is the actor's perspective.
Yeah.
I'll use myself as an example. I didn't understand casting directors till I produced, and I had
Oh,
to sit on the other side of the table. I was like, wait a second, they're not goblins, they're not my enemy, they don't hate me. I'm like,
yeah.
this is ridiculous. I was like, they actually want me to do well. I was like, what am I talking about?
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so true. We want you to do well so much because one, it makes my job easier. The fewer people I have to go through and the fewer and it is the absolute biggest. So I got hired to produce, and then it was a small project. So they were like, "Can you help us with casting too?" And I was like, "Well, that happens to be my wheelhouse, so yes." And I called my mom. I still get really excited. I'm like, yay, I got a project I'm gonna work on. Um, and I was like, guess the thing I am most excited about. And she was like, I don't know. What is it? I was like, I love calling and hiring people. It is the best feeling in the world to give awesome people opportunities. So that's my favorite thing. I love acting, and I know that it's going to come back around in time for me. I don't know,
Mm.
but I've been able to release that because I found so much other joy in other areas of the industry. And just right now, like I get such a thrill out of, finding the right actor and being able to be like, hey, you have been chosen, you are hired. Or, when I get to put on my producing hat, I'm like, hey, awesome videographer or director or writer or whatever, you're hired. And it's such the coach brain in me too. I can't help it. I'll open myself up to like if you want to talk to me afterwards, whether it's something I produced and you didn't get picked from submissions, or whether it was something I was casting and you didn't get picked. That one's getting a little bit harder and harder as the castings get bigger and there's, but I've been trying to figure out how to provide more feedback to people because if you don't know, you don't know and you don't grow. So love to help people where I can on that one.
I love it. So you started as an actress.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
So walk me through a little bit. Like, were you one of these kids that was like putting on plays in your living room? Was it kind of a thing where like I don't really want to do that, but you secretly were doing it?
No,
Walk me through how you became an actress and what it was like from when you were little all the way until you started
totally
doing it.
cliche. I mean, just totally cliche. It was the dressing up and doing puppet shows, as a tiny kid. And then I to this day remember I have a twin sister who is definitely, I mean, she's in the arts in terms of she does poetry,
Mm.
but she's military and, black belt and like we're sports, Iron Man, like we're definitely night and day. But I remember in third grade, she got cast as Mrs. TV. So she got a speaking line in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And I was Oompa Loompa number like 12. And I was so sad. I was like, but I want to talk. And that kind of switched by fifth grade, but by the time I got into middle school, I was just, gosh, just so grateful. Where we grew up, there were some really great theater departments and programs. And so I was auditioning for everything. And when I did, I was all in. I was like, I'm going to give it my all. And started doing more singing and dancing classes. Every summer, I was in community theater programs. And actually, my awesome parents, had been starting to save for college for me. And I remember at 14, I was like, I really want to take extra lessons. And they were like, I mean, do you want to gamble some of your college fund in terms of pay for more lessons on singing and dancing and acting now with that in the hopes that you'll get a scholarship? Because that's it. Like, this is what we're spending on college and that's what it. I was like, I want to do it. And thank goodness it did. It did help me get a scholarship and everything was taken care of. Very, very blessed on that one. Awesome family. And so yeah, and then in college, I started doing more and more production work, stage management. So really learning how the whole process works. And that was a lead into New York, except I didn't go directly to New York. Oh no, I forgot about this. Okay. I I went to South Carolina. There was a boy at the time. And I went to South Carolina and I worked at the Children's Marionette puppet theater. And I mean, it was just, I was trying anything to be technically involved in the industry, including working at this horrible dinner theater where later I found out our director had been arrested for inappropriate behavior. Like it was
Oh,
just like,
whoa.
oh my God, what am I doing? Why am I here? And worked my way north to, that's right, y'all, moved back in with the parents. It happens. But they were very happy to have me. And I was able to be home there, saving up more for my move to New York. But I was doing more puppet theater, some more dinner theaters, trying to audition for some film roles here and there, getting, little minor stuff. But classes, I just kept finding myself getting into more and more classes and studying more and more business. My mom is she was a business and entrepreneur coach. And I just found myself really trying to study that because I was like, I feel like I got some skills, but I just don't understand why people aren't picking it up.
Mm.
So I will pause for a second before I get into everything else. Any question, any questions on that before I get into, as you get a little bit older, there's more and more to say to the journey, I suppose.
No, this is all fantastic. I'm curious to know why you chose to go into stage management at SMU as opposed to just going straight into drama.
Of course, of course. So it was that's a great question. Really, what was the deciding factor? I remember, well, okay. So I mentioned that my high school teacher was very like militant, like literally had a military background.
Mm.
And I just remember being like, I don't care if I don't get cast, I'm gonna be involved. And so that's how I did, that's part of the reason I did so well when I was in high school was my freshman year. No freshman ever gets into the first show, like ever. It is so competitive. And so when I didn't get in, I was like, okay. And I just marched my little self over to the technical director and I said, hi, I would like to help out. And they were like, who the what? Why? No, what? They're like, no freshman ever offers to help. And I was like, okay, hi, I'm Jana. I would like help. And so I have been doing technical theater on and off all throughout high school, just because if I didn't get cast, I was like, this is the world I want to be a part of. And I don't care, if I'm the star or not, I'm going to do it. And
Mm.
so because I already had such a background in that, I know that they found that that was actually kind of unique coming in because a lot of the other people, when they come in, if they have something else, it's either writing or directing. And the fact that I already had so much technical theater experience, they were like, well, how would you like to help manage the technical and manage the rehearsals and like how all the departments interact with each other? And I had experience with all the departments. I was like, yeah, let's do it. So yeah, interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
How do you think that shaped the later work that you ended up doing with actors in
So
your
much.
approach?
So much. So grateful for that. It's still to this day. One of my producing partners, like he'll make fun of me. He's like, okay, Jana, this is not stage management, this is film production. So can you stop quoting that? I'm like, fine. But still to this day, the discipline and the understanding of how each inner department works, because, and I don't say this to be like blanket statement. I will say that some actors just don't understand the bigger picture of everything that's going on. And it especially kind of irks me when I find cranky actors on set in the sitting room or the waiting room, and they're just like, what is taking so long? And I'm just like, are you kidding me? There's 400,000 other things going on. You're, and a lot of times, especially if you're not like a name, which that's okay, that's totally fine, but the day does not revolve around you. It does not. We
Mm.
do so many other things. And you really, by the way, side note, I feel like you need to also understand how to do some self-directing and how that correlates with working with directors that are so technically focused. They don't have time to spoon feed you. Side note. So yeah, I was just grateful for that because I just always had such a positive attitude on set. Even, even if I was exhausted, like I could step back and understand the bigger picture of what was going on. And I think people really appreciate that when they have actors on set that are experiencing that, or a PA, a production assistant, which is the lowest entry level on a film set. If you can be somebody that is gracious and understanding, and even if you don't know the full ins and outs, but just being like, everything's okay. It's chill. It's not about me, but also not so negative of, oh, it's not about me, and you're just sitting in the corner bored and whatever, but you're like excited about everything else that's going on. It just made a world of difference.
And how can an actor who maybe doesn't have your background as stage management and production prepare themselves and show up like a professional, like someone who can really contribute to the
Sure.
project and eliminate that sort of thing, that
Yeah.
mindset?
Read and learn and watch YouTube videos and podcasts, and like just start to try, or when you do make it on set, ask questions. Always find the right timing, because if people are busy, that's not really the best time. But around lunches or breaks or something, how do asking people questions and being interested in them, not just always asking questions to get something for yourself, but asking questions about them, which may lead you into better understanding of the industry. Um, there's so many ways to self-educate yourself these days. So I very much encourage people to do that while working on the productions, or working in, a theater production or something. Might not always be an option for people based on
Mhm.
their schedule, their location, anything that they have going on. You're always going to be, well, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to assume you have access to internet and can get your, go ask these questions online and learn and get a bigger picture.
What would you say, um, or say, I know that you mentioned the four pillars, but what would you
Mhm.
say are the top 3 to 5 attributes that you've seen in your experience working with actors, that you have in your experience as an actress, that all successful generative team players, the kind of actor that everybody loves to have on set, that really would love, like, what are the attributes that they either need to develop, or you've seen that all of them have?
Yes. Okay. I'm totally going to answer this, and it's making me think of this other weird analogy of this actor that I didn't, he did not make good choices in his career.
Yeah.
Bless his heart. But I think that he went a very negative path, and he had this like really negative outlook of the industry, which, just side note, but like when I first met him and I'd first gotten to New York, he was telling me that there's this triangle of success. And I was like, okay, what's the triangle of success? He was like, you either have to be really talented, really talented, really easy to work with, really good looking. And I was like, what? And it was like, no, 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 no. And you have to have two out of the three, otherwise you'll never work. And and so I don't love that, in terms of, okay, you're really talented and you're really good looking, but you're horrible to be on set with, but whatever, you're still a star, and I'm
Mm.
like, ugh. So I mean, there is a little bit of truth, and there is something to think about that. Side note, there is a huge shift in casting in the past 15 years where, it's not all about, oh, you have to be really good looking. It's like, no, you have to be the right role. You have to be the right person for your role. If that is what the role entails, then cool. And if that's your wheelhouse, then go for it. But you need to find what works best for you. We'll get into that, I'm sure. But for me, the real attributes are, you're responsible, you show up early, you are on time, you're collaborative, you bring your own thoughts and abilities to the table. You aren't just waiting to be spoon-fed and directed, but also when you are directed, you aren't, no, 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 let me do it my way. Anyways, like
Mm.
it's none of that. Theater is a team sport, film is a team sport. And so, you need to, when the ball is passed to you, look at me trying to do my sports analogy. When the ball is passed to you, you got to do it. You got to be able to perform, but you also need to be able to go back to your team and make sure that everybody's on the same page and you're supporting everybody else where they need it, kind of thing.
I love it. Okay, great. Talk to me about, when you were in DC. Did you work in a lot of theater? Did you work in a lot of film, TV? What was your experience like working down
So I did the Baltimore DC hybrid. They're really close markets. They're only like an hour from each other, maybe an
there?
hour
Hmm.
and a half. depending on traffic. So I would work both. And I they have amazing theaters in there. It was a little bit far of a drive for me, and I really just want I was like, look, I'm only going to do this if it's union. And so I didn't end up getting cast into any of those, which is fine. I was grateful for the experience. And I will say something. I will say, in my opinion, I almost find getting high caliber theater work harder than mid-tier film work because there's such a there's limited capacity. There's more and more film and commercial projects and everything being put on than theater. There just is. And there's more demand for it. And so a lot of the theaters is you have to have that long-term relationship. And it comes back from the ancient days of you are an apprentice in the theater. And you work your way up to the different roles, and you start, in Shakespeare's day, you start, the young boys are playing the girls' roles, and then they work their way up and
Right.
they get to graduate to the leading men, and all of that. So I did wonder, I can't say this for certain. I don't have a ton of experience with regional theater or union houses, but I'm still getting that from what my time around DC theaters, New York theaters, and now here in Atlanta. I feel like there's a little bit of that of like they really want to know you and have the relationship. Obviously, if you're just the right role, 1,000, person for the role, like you have that's important as well. I digress, but yeah, I definitely did more film work. And oh God, for a hot minute I was still doing those puppet shows. I was driving around the DC, Maryland, Virginia area with like three giant trunks, rolling trunks of puppets. And, and just, I will I still very fondly, and I remember breaking down, laughing my butt off in one of these major DC like federal building. It's funny, my other sister works in DC now, and she'd be like, "Why don't you know the buildings?" I was like, I don't." But it was one of the like big important buildings, and the security was insane. And I just remember being um standing outside of it, just breaking down, not crying, but crying laughing because I was like the absurdity of what I'm doing right now because I want to be an actor. Everybody's looking at me as I carry, like, I am rolling three giant trunks, big giant black trunks, and everybody's like, "What is that?" And there's this. I'm 5'2", and I'm just trying to haul all of this, and I can't get it up the ramp, and like people are trying to help me, and then we had to go through the metal detector, and they had to open every single box and wand every puppet. And I was an hour and a half late for the children. So like whichever building was, they had like a childcare inside of it. But y'all, we're gonna do some silly things just being involved in the industry and
Mhm.
say yes, have fun with it. It's I'm grateful for those lessons. They were something. You
What
also learn what you don't want to do, which is okay. That's an important lesson too.
were there any other that's a pretty important one. Were there any other lessons that you learned from that experience kind of doing these jobs,
It's
hauling all that stuff around?
Yeah, it's you are the one that's going to move your career forward. Of course, you're going to start to build team members as you go. That's what getting an agent or a manager or having a good acting coach, those are your team members. But you are the CEO of your company and you have to drive it forward. And so, even though I had a boss who was expecting me to go get these puppet shows delivered, and she was the one paying me, it was still, I had every choice at the end of the day to go, you know what, this is stupid. I'm not doing this. And I could have just one, left the puppets there like an absolute awful person, or two, just put them back in my car, dropped them off, and been like, I don't care if you pay me, I'm done. But I was like, no, I committed to this and I'm going to follow through. And so that's a really important lesson as well. Is just the follow through, the being somebody that people can rely on. That's huge. That alone will get you so much further than skills alone or being the right look, or which we'll talk about that. Because I definitely um I definitely think that's a very, very important piece of the puzzle because unlike any other job, we are being graded on like our looks come into the equation, whereas,
Mhm.
legally that can't be part of it in a lot of other
Right.
places. But I think there's the personality that you are developing throughout this process, the spirit that you're developing is so important.
Would you mind expounding on that a little bit in terms of the look and how that affects
Yeah, so
people and
look.
how that affects you in the industry?
Okay. So there was we were I just beg everybody to stop operating like we're in the 80s and 90s. We're not everybody. We're just not.
What does that mean? What does
So
that mean?
for any be soap operas.
Okay.
That was the heyday of soap operas.
Hmm.
And so in the heyday of soap operas, it was we want the beautiful people on the screen. And unfortunately, I'm really hoping that anybody you guys are working with or any book that you pick up, please be working with relevant information. Because we're in a new era where people want to see realism on the screen. We want to
Hmm.
see us. We want to see, oh, I feel connected to that person and this and that. And while, yes, there are still some gorgeous people on the screen, because hey, you know what? We're humans, and some of us are pretty dang gorgeous, and
Hmm.
some of us have a different look, and that's fine. But like I have this friend in New York, and he and God bless him, he's had a ton of health problems, which has really shifted in terms of he used to lean into his unhealthy look too much, but he would get hired all the time as like the, overweight, grimy, icky bad guy, and
Hmm.
he like did that to the extreme, but to the point where it's really hurt his health. And he looks like a whole new man now that he's really taking care of his health and everything. So I'm very grateful for him. But he leaned into that and he was booking constantly. So it's you don't whatever it is there is no extreme. Even we talk about some of these A-list actors that they might not look exactly the same in every single role, and I mean that also in terms of their weight, not just oh they changed their hair color or extreme weight differences or anything like that. Like stop trying to hold to an ideal, just be the healthiest version of you as you are today, and then just make sure that your marketing reflects that. So that's why I spend so much time when I'm working with actors and we're doing like a deep dive on their marketing overhaul. I need to get to know you. So I'm like, what is your natural personality? How do you naturally physically show up? What do you want? And there's always an overlap. So even when people feel like, oh, this is so out of reach, I'm like, no, we always find an overlap. And then it's just about crafting your marketing and your message to really reflect that, to really reflect your natural skills and abilities of where you are today and not where you're trying to be like somebody else. I mean, who you are is there's nobody else in the world, even if you're an identical twin, there's nobody else in the world that thinks, looks, and speaks like you. So, and that's with any business. It's what is your unique market proposition? And it's this, I am uniquely me. And this is what I'm bringing to the table. And you know what? Who cares if you're similar? Like I'm starting to hear that from people. I have some of my babies that I'm trying to help them with some stinking thinking. Um, where they get confused and upset because they're like, oh, well, I'm in an age or an ethnicity or a demographic where it's just the market space is flooded. And I was like, it's possible, but please don't go trying to do a 180 or shifting yourself. Maybe this is just your time to start developing yourself a little bit more.
Hmm.
Keep putting yourself out there, keep taking classes, keep developing yourself emotionally, spiritually, other areas of your life too. Just because you're not making all of your income from acting today does not mean that this isn't the career for you. I'll get off my soapbox, but yes,
No, no,
please.
stay on the soapbox. We want you to stay there forever. This is fantastic. How do you help in it? Because what I'm hearing from that is the actor's voice, right? Where it's like there's only one
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
are like there will never exist another you ever. There has never existed. How do you go about helping actors to tap into that? Well, to
Mhm.
discover it, first of all, and then to tap into it and come from that centered place.
Yeah. All right. So first of all, we we all have that voice in our head that is, you know, that as we speak to ourselves throughout the day. And so obviously, side note, please continue to train that inner voice to be kind and loving and supportive to you
Mhm.
throughout all this. But that there's also, you have that, those hopes and those dreams and those excitements and those things that wake you up in the morning. When you watch TV shows and you're like, oh, I love that character. I so relate to them, or I so this. And that's one of the things I'm always checking at. I'm like, okay, so what is that thing where if somebody says, what do you want to do? And you're like, oh, I'm going to cut off my inner voice and I don't want to tell them that because that's too embarrassing or that'll never happen. Or I'm like, no, just what? What do you want?
Mm.
Um, and then and then definitely that is a question I ask constantly. I'm like, so when you sit and watch TV or you watch shows or you're singing along to your musical theater, what is your absolute dream? And they're like, oh, I would so love to be XYZ, XYZ. And then what ends up happening is there is an overlap. There's always an overlap. Even if you're like, for example, I had a student who she she doesn't think she's leading lady material for traditionally for a lot of stage roles because a lot of stage musical theater, these are scripts from 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, and she's a little bit on the heavier side physically, and so in her brain she's like, well, I'm not that look, and so I'm not going to get hired for that. And I'm like,
Mhm.
stop that. Let's what do you like about those roles? And so she was saying, oh, I'd love, there's this independence, but there's also this class. It's not like the I'm going to be the leading woman and get in your face. It's like they're classy and strong about it. And so that's been more of what we've looked for her is like, okay. And that was a pattern that kept coming up in all of the different TV shows, the different movies, the different things that she was describing. And while they seem night and day, they actually each had an overarching pattern. So we
Mm.
first strip the looks away and just focus on the personality and the core of who these roles are and why you resonate with them so well. And then you start to build it back up because that's why whenever I have my students and they're submitting for roles, I tell them, I was like, I stop looking at the age, location, ethnicity, all of that breakdown. Please read the personality of this character first. Yes, even gender. I have cast people where originally it was supposed to be like a little boy's role, and we ended up casting a little girl because she was awesome. So you never know when there is flexibility in the casting. Like definitely read everything you can because there are times when it's pretty clear that you're going to change the meaning of the story. In
Mm.
terms of like, if the whole story, oh gosh, don't get me started. I was like, you guys, like if there's a historical reenactment, you're like, well, what if this is, this her mom was supportive instead of her dad being supportive? And you're like, no, 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 you can't change the core story. But
Mm.
if there's like, you can't change the core story. But I totally respect people that they'll submit to me on and stuff, and they'll be like, "Hey, I know that this says, this says that you wanted a woman in her 20s. Just really felt like I am also a nurse. I have this background, totally can relate to this character, just wanted to give it a shot. And somebody will submit to me who's, presenting definitely more in their late 30s or early 40s.
Mhm.
But if it doesn't change my story, I'll give them a shot. I will, why not? And also you stand out more because in my sea of applicants, your picture is going to stand out, but it's like, are you standing out for a good reason or a bad reason? So that's why you always want to write those submission notes to be like, I know I'm not following exactly what you want, but this was my thought of why I did it anyways. Versus, for instance, I had like this really proper, preppy, clean cut girl look, and then, got the majority of my submissions looked similar to that. But I had one chick with like all these tattoos, and piercings and everything. And I was just like, I think you just saw that it was the right ethnicity and age and you just applied. And I'm like,
Mm.
no, 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 no. starts with personality. So that's my big thing. I try and reverse engineer for everybody when they're trying to look for what are the roles ideal for them. I was like, start with personality. Your looks are an important piece of the puzzle. They do tell an important, like, your age and your gender and your ethnicity and your uh just your general whatever spectrum of health or weight or anything else. This all does tell parts of the story. It's different data points. But the same blonde guys, both in their 20s, both, same physically fitness or whatever, they can have completely, one could be like the super stud sexy guy and the other can be super nerdy. And so the fact that when we take personality out of the equation and we just dial down to, oh, it said blonde on the breakdown, so I submit it, like, no, personality is the difference here. And that's really where I've been. Oh boy, we'll get into it. I've been developing a lot of technology around that lately. That's my heart and soul, because we're in a beautiful age where we can start to better understand. We don't just have to sit there and wait for, okay, age, gender, location, ethnicity. We can be looking at, well, what is this? What is the personality of this person in their photo? So it's, anyways, that's my heart and soul. I just want people to be able to get connected to who they are instead of just being okay with the, well, I generally fit the age or the breakdown. Like, no, no.
And how do you teach people to stay connected? Because there's one thing, I'm a coach as well, obviously, and one of the
Yeah.
main things is, and I was a personal trainer and all this stuff. And one of the problems that I ran into when I was a trainer, especially, was they would work out really hard when I was there in the session, but they would eat like all this garbage. And I was like,
Yeah.
you're literally paying me for no, I'm fine. I'm getting paid, whatever. Like, I'm in shorts to be your therapist or whatever. But like, I only see you once a week. And so you're with you 160 some odd other hours during the
Yeah.
week. You got to do the stuff for you because I can only do so much.
We keep coming back to, and it's why it's the first pillar. It's the mindset, you guys. And that's where, again, to me, I'm not going to apologize for it. To me, it's biblical. That's how I've learned my strength. And while I'm always going to recommend that for other people, you just need to find what it is that allows you to have that peace and have that centering and be okay to be with yourself, and you becoming your own, um you being able to speak very positively to yourself and guide yourself and being able to trust your instincts and not just shiny, not following every shiny object or every piece of advice of, oh, they said this, I have to do this, and da, da, da. You're going to exhaust yourself and wear yourself out. So finding that confidence, of being confident in who you are, but that's not just to be like, so never change. You got it, girl. I'm
Mhm.
not going to say that. I'm staying confident in who you are while growing and being able to be real with yourself of what parts of you need to be cleaned up and refined to be the best version. But how do you do that in a loving and caring way? So,
I love the terminology of cleaned up and refined. Refined is a
yeah.
word we should use
Well,
more.
it's I don't know the verse right now. I'm not that good yet. But it's iron sharpening iron.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there's definitely that. And so while, that to me is my marriage has been, us refining and cleaning each other and polishing. That's the same way that the diamond is inside the coal after, a lot
Mm.
of pressure, and you have to, but it's not just that, it's in there. You have to chip away what is on the outside to get the best version. And so I think so many times people get concerned that they're like, oh, this is so hard and I'm tired and I'm exhausted and I'm overwhelmed. And it's like, great, you're in it. You're doing the thing. And I don't want it to be hard for you. Like, I wish if I could like wave a magic wand and and you were at peace and enjoying and really getting to do everything you want. But that's earth. That's not earth. That's heaven. We're not there yet.
Mhm.
So, in this world, there will be trials and we will grow. And from that growth and that, experience of potential suffering, um, we will become stronger and better for it. And be lacking nothing that we need to really get the most out of whatever our purpose or how we're supposed to be living here on life. And I find a lot of times, sometimes actors, they come into this and they're holding so tight to, I have to be an actor out of like a vanity need, an
Mm,
ego need. And I am never going to turn anybody away from being an actor. And I love that you can jump into this career at every stage, but I ask you to purify your motive. Is this, what is the reason? Is it solely for you? Because really, anything that you put your time and energy and money and uh you put so much into building a career versus building a job. So you can go get a job, at the local stapler or Staples and whatever, but when you're building a career, which is a life longevity, this should be something that aligns with purpose to you. This should be something that you actually want to get out of bed for. And when there are difficult moments, you are able to step back and know like this is okay. But when it's difficult, you aren't beating up on yourself because, oh, well, I'm supposed to receive validation and ego support. I'm supposed to be happy. And, once I get to the other side, once I get this role, I'll be a happy individual. It's like, that should be an indicator that you need to purify your motives on that one,
mm,
because you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You're hurting yourself. And at some level, I can potentially pick up on it as a casting director or an agent. Like when you're meeting, I can just there's this breath, there's this peace that comes from people that are at peace with themselves and they trust that they, God or whatever it is going to put them in the right place at the right time. And they're just taking every step and every day, bit by bit, to do what they can, to be like, I'm doing what I can today. And hopefully, this is what I was supposed to do. And at some point, the stars will align and timing will work together. But in the meantime, I'm at peace and I'm okay that I know that I'm being taken care of and I'm getting what I need. Um, and and that energy alone is you're also going to be attracting more of that. And I want to be around good people. Of course, there's crappy people in this industry, but there's also incredible people. And what is it? Your vibe attracts your tribe. And so
yeah.
if you don't want to be around the stinking thinkers and the, scummy and people trying to like one up each other or braggadocious or anything, then don't do that yourself. And people will get it that they're like, oh, there's something about, him or her that they aren't playing this game. And you go, okay, I'm not playing your game. I will go find the people that don't have time for this and we're going to go do some awesome work. And there's, we're in a beautiful age where that is being accepted plenty. Nobody, this is, you don't have to be icky or gross to be in this industry. There's plenty of incredible people, and the more you can do that, the further you're going to go for sure.
I love it. How can, if someone is struggling with that, because that is a very common sentiment, like,
Yeah.
like that sort of tightness of, I need this,
Yeah.
I need this, I need this. And look, I've fallen into that trap plenty of times, right? And so
Same. Oh yeah.
I'm not preaching from someone ever. It's like, okay, it's a daily sort of reminder,
Yeah.
specifically for you when you're working with your clients or even your own personal examples. How can someone practically begin to release a little bit of that and do it in such a way that they can carry that release and that flow and that ease with them moving forward?
Oh my gosh. I, you know what? I'm not going to apologize for it. I keep bringing it back around. I've had a huge growth spiritually in the past like 5 or 6 years. I, thought I understood what faith was before, but it's just continued to grow. And there's a reason why when you meet people, that they have this like calmness to them and they're like, yeah, yeah, why are they always talking about this faith thing and this, Jesus and Bible and all that? And it's just like, I have no other tool. Like I will do my best to try and enumerate for you guys and iterate what's going on. But it's, when you just realize it's not all on you, like that's what it
Mm,
takes. because we try and become a god in of ourselves in terms of I'm in control of my own universe. I'm in control of my own stuff. If it's to be, it's up to me. That's exhausting.
Yeah.
Like absolutely exhausting. And so when you realize that you are part of a bigger picture and everything is going to be okay, and it doesn't mean that every day is going to be magical and perfect, but you know that you can get through every moment because it's making you stronger for the bigger plan of it all. Like just you're enjoying it. So let me paint a picture for you guys. I was in the heart of New York City. I was really I was really starting to get it. Like I was starting to get some good agent offers. I was starting to getting hired for more production, coordinating and managing, that is good pay. And oh my God, it was happening. Um, and then I say this by the grace of God, the guy I was dating at the time turned out to be absolutely bananas crazy, and I had
Okay.
to leave New York for safety and personal reasons. And I learned so much from that. But I then had some what I thought were friends at the time. Turns out they're
Mhm.
not, and I wish them well, and I great. Oh my gosh, just praying they're gonna be okay. But they were so mean to me in terms of you left, you quit New York, you're never gonna be an actor. You're just, you're not in the heart of it, so good luck. Not gonna happen. But
Wow.
you want to know what? I am in the mountains now of Georgia. I am in Sati Nakuchi, Georgia. Like, what the heck is where am I? Where where am I? And yet I am getting to work on major feature films. I'm getting to support more actors than I ever thought possible. Um, and I'm just getting to be a part of the industry in a bigger way than I ever thought. And it was just because I just kept taking one step in front of the other and letting, God just kind of clean me up and be like, you could have stayed in New York and you could have gotten all the worldly possessions and all of that, and that would have been great, but you would have still been tired and you still would have been exhausted and you still would have. And instead, I've gone through this process of cleaning and being and growing and becoming the better version that he wanted for me. And I am seeing these things being added back into my life on a bigger scale than I ever thought imaginable. And that is true throughout every story. I'm doing a very deep dive into reading these days, and it's true in every single story in the Bible. Of God is he's trying to clean you and purify you, and then these things will come back. So sometimes when you hit that stale season and you're like, why isn't this working? I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing this, and I'm just like, girl, open your Bible. You might need you yourself might need some cleaning up and purifying and peace, and you do find peace through it. Because I always thought that if I'm not actively working on my career, then it's missing me by and it's my fault and I'm the problem. And when instead you can step back and you're just like, no, I'm doing this thing which is so fun to build this relationship of peace and growth and confidence and clarity and trust. And I'm putting out all the buzzwords because it's just all there. And then allowing all of that to just naturally happen. And then watching how these opportunities get added back into your life if they are what and the whole thing is again, I am not quoting the right scripture, and I'm sorry we're going, well, you know what? I'm not sorry, but I hope that for anybody who is not prepared to hear this, I understand that I'm going to be bugging you because trust me, I've been in your seat where people were preaching to me, and I was like, yeah, you're irritating me. But if you're ready to receive this message, I hope that this does something for you. But it's really fun to be able to step back and be to know that you're doing some you know how hard it is to sit there and apply for jobs and update resume and do your agent meetings and do your submissions. It's not difficult, but it's laborsome and cumbersome to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And you get tired doing that day after day after day. And you know what? Maybe you just need to put it down for a minute and instead getting to sit back and have, do some reading and, self-reflection and taking care of yourself, and growing. then you rekindle that joy to come back to it. Or what has happened, and this was something I was really scared to let go of being an actor. I was like, I
Mm.
have failed if I had let go of that. But
Yeah.
it's a purification of your motives. It's a purification of your of what um of and so for me, when I said, okay, God, I'm going to put that down, and I'm really sad because I want that to come back around. And I got a new assignment. I got new opportunities around casting and producing and coaching and helping other people and seeing how this world actually just opened up. It's been incredible. And I encourage people that even if you do put down acting and you find when you purify the motive, the desires of your heart, that you don't want it anymore, there's nothing wrong with you. It is
Mm.
okay. You may have wanted it for the wrong reasons, for, oh, external validation, ego, and everything. If it becomes an avocation as opposed to a full vocation, that is okay. You are still going to have an incredible life, and you can still, there might be something else that another way, you might come back to it later. I have plenty of students that they put it down for 15, 20, 30 years, and now they're back at it. It's fine. Everything's going to be okay. So, all right, I'll get off that soapbox, but I just have no other way of describing it. That's been my life the past few years, and I'm excited to tell people about it.
I love that. I mean, I've definitely struggled with those questions and that difficulty and sort of like when that sunk cost fallacy,
Yes.
I've been to drama school twice and I've spent hundreds of thousands and all the other, whatever. And the time, um, where do you think personally, like, where do you think, because it's there, I think that there's a mixture in my experience of people in this industry. There's people that like really do it for the right reasons, then
Yes.
other people that do it for ego, and then
Yes.
other people they do it because someone else told them that this is what they want to do, and they probably should have been doing they probably should be an architect or whatever else, right? Like, what do you think it is that keeps people tight, holding on tight to that thing?
Fear.
Okay.
Um,
Of
the the fear of the unknown, the fear of
mm,
what am I, if you've built and wrapped your identity. So that's why I'm saying, like, that's a false idol. That is you've built your identity around, I will be an actor and I will be remembered as an actor and I will do this and it's my job to do this and I have to do it and I have to get it done. Blah, 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 blah. Like, you're gonna drive yourself bananas and bonkers. And even if you do get to the top, which is fine, you are welcome. And if that is truly what is in your heart, and once again you've purified your motives and that's still there, then great. Maybe that is your calling, that is your purpose, and you are supposed to do something. But if you get there because you pushed yourself to get there, then you're gonna have to push yourself to say, anything that you have to, any door you have to force open, you're gonna have to hold open, versus anything that you relax and you release and you let, divine timing and, your natural state of who you are be, then that door will be there for you, because you're not having to, oh, I have to be this thing, I have to be somebody else, I have to try something. It's like you just are, and you've
mm.
gotten to be, who you naturally are. And people have, and the world is going, okay, great, that aligns with what is needed, and welcome. So I just don't want anybody forcing doors open, because it's exhausting to first get it open, and then you won't stay there in the same way, because it'll be an artificial opening and it'll be exhausting to have to keep that there, versus just trusting the process, trusting the timing, being naturally who you are, and making sure you're, again, continuing to refine and find the best motives and be the best version of yourself. And that will be there. That will be an opportunity that stays with you.
And how do you distinguish between that forcing something open? Because I really do hear that
Hmm.
that because it's sort of like an internal it's like a very internal pulling like thing, right? You're kind of like an ox trying to pull a really heavy thing, right? Like
Yeah.
wait, and how do you distinguish that between that and just you work a little, like just push through the pain and the discomfort.
Of course, because it's this is and I think that that's the fallacy, like so often, like I don't know about anybody else, but the black and white thinking that it's either it's hard or it's easy.
Mm.
It's gonna be fast, it's gonna be slow, it's gonna be, and it's just like, no, it's shades of gray. Thank you, Tyler, hubby. It's all like it's a mix of different things that are gonna happen.
Hmm.
And so it's again where I keep coming, you are the person, just like you were saying in your workouts, like you're the person you're with the majority of the time. So who is that inner voice? Is that the Holy Spirit, or what is that a healthy inner voice that you have going on that is coaching you? And you will know. I will try and give you some of my own experience to just kind of describe it, but you will know. Like if that inner voice is like grind, hustle, you're not good enough, this is a problem, work harder, that's not good.
Mm.
And I've definitely experienced that. And versus when it's like, oh my gosh, I am so tired. So like for instance, I had a really big pitch. I had to do a whole bunch of pitching and meetings yesterday. And that was on Tuesday. On Tuesday, one of the people I'm working with was like, "Hey, I need you to completely overhaul your presentation." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" So I just stayed up super late Tuesday night, which I'm a baby when I don't get sleep. I hate it. So I just stay super late Tuesday night, and I was so grateful that I just kind of stepped back and I was like, "Ooh, that voice isn't there anymore. It's quiet." In terms of the like, "Oh, this is awful and this is so hard and why me and oh, this is so difficult and I'm never gonna do it and why may as well just go to bed. Nothing matters, may it's you're not making a difference." Like that goes away. And then you're able, even though the voice that is like, "Hey, Jana, I'm tired and I'm sleepy and I want to go to bed right now. How much longer do we have?" It's not one that's beating up. It's one that's speaking the truth, which is like, the truth is I'm tired and I would like, this is too much right now. But I still was able to find purpose and meaning and joy because I was like, okay, this is important and this is leading me to where I want to go. And I'm okay with that. So it's a little bit, it's definitely something that I just hope that if I can bring awareness, then you'll need to, I don't know what your voice, I don't know what each individual person's voice is, but you'll know, I know, when there's not so great push and drive and motivation versus you feel like, yeah, we're being realistic about this situation right now isn't ideal, but we're doing it and it's okay, kind of.
Mm.
So
That's great. Talk to me about the actor's code.
the Actors Code. So the Actors Code is my business that where I do most of my coaching and everything from. And it really was just born out of um like I said, I was working on so many different film sets. And it was because I said yes to production. So while a lot of my classmates from high school and college weren't, and even my roommates, even my roommates when I was living in New York, they were like, "How are you getting all this on the set?" And I will not, I will not say I did it all in a vacuum. I had so many mentors and coaches and everything, incredible people that I worked with, that helped educate me along this. But people started asking me what I was doing. And so, I would have the coffee dates, I'd have the phone calls, I'd have this and that. But then more like you start getting into, you notice you're doing the same patterns. While I'm
Hmm.
always like, I want to take care of each person individually, I would just at least notice that the same framework. Okay, first we need to make sure we go this and we have this clear and this, da, da, da. And so then I was like, I think this is more of a formal business at this point.
Yeah.
Um, Especially I mentioned my mom was an entrepreneur coach and I actually used to work with her. I was her assistant for a while, and co-educator. And so I was like, okay, this is a business. So that started to become more formal. And then certainly once the pandemic hit, because I had moved down to Atlanta, and literally 2 weeks later, everything shut down. So
Oh, wow.
I had that, okay, so to kind of button up where the story went, bustling network in New York, so many freaking opportunities. It was insane. And then I had to run back home to my parents. God bless them, they're amazing. And so like I kept trying to move back up to New York. So I spent 2 years, 2 years, you guys, 2 years taking the overnight bus to New York City, would get on there and go do my work, and then I would maybe do 48, 72, 96 hours and then come home. And that would be some couch crashing or anything, but I didn't feel, one, there was some weird stuff with the reason I left where I was like, probably don't want a hard address right now. But also it was also just like something in me just didn't feel ready to really want to live in New York again. And then I kept getting opportunities where I had some contacts in Atlanta. And so that anyway, so I did eventually end up moving to Atlanta, and then the world shut down and it was great. But it was like, okay, the Actors Code is happening because I am online, and I gotta figure out how to make it work because I don't have a network anymore. I don't have a network down here, which was my whole plan financially, and so it was scary. But again, that's another example of you're gonna do some scary things. You are gonna end up taking some risks and some things where you're like, I have no idea how this is gonna turn out. But if you understand that all things can work together for good, then you're trusting the process and you're just gonna be like, okay, I'm still trying to take action every day. So that's what we do, the Actors Code. I'm primarily I do I was doing a lot of in person for the longest time. Now when I'm doing more producing these days, and that's a whole episode, that's a whole 2 to 3 hour episode right there. Um and so I've just been, and then also my husband's going to school, and so I was like, okay, we need to be closer up here. So I'm doing more stuff online. But it's actually been really exciting because I've been able to help even more people outside of the general area. Um, and I have found ways to be very supportive of acting technique online as well as business of acting, which is my heart and soul. But I always thought, I was like, oh well, I just can't do technique. But no, you kidding me, you guys? We all do self tapes online, so we may as well practice online too. It's working. It's working.
How long were you in New York for working as an actress?
I lived there full time about 2.5 years, and then I spent about another two and a half doing the the overnight bus. Yeah, good time.
So it sounds like you had some success pretty early. I mean, 2.5 years for you to build up networks to start to
Yeah.
get those sorts of opportunities. That's pretty impressive. Sometimes it'll take people a decade. It takes a year and a half just to get used to the city, you know?
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying you say yes to working, get your butt working in film productions because you're around it. You aren't just, you're taking classes, that's networking, but you're diversifying yourself as not just an actor, which is, well, we'll talk about all the things like you don't want to advertise yourself as I'm a writer, director, actor, producer, blah, 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 like
Mm-hmm.
because a confused mind says no. And when I'm auditioning you, I want you to be an actor. I don't care about all the other stuff you do. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Even your agent is probably like, okay, cool. Um, I'm hiring you for this one specific thing, but okay. But it's you are opening up your opportunity. So I would much rather be, if possible, making money from the industry, even if it's not as an actor, but I'm doing it in another way and I'm on set meeting industry individuals and making friends that are in the industry, like that moved me forward. And I helped other people. So what I mean by that is when you do production assistant work, it is your you need smart, capable, smart, good people, but it's not, don't have to have an extensive skill set. So it's very easy to refer out, to be like, oh, okay, I can't do it, but you should call this person or this person or this person. And
Mhm.
so I was constantly doing that, which means that this person, this person, or this person was so grateful that they kept referring me.
Mm.
And so then everybody, a lot of the production coordinators that I worked with would just start calling me and they'd be like, I need PAs. Are you available? Dang it. Okay, you're not. Oh, who else you got? And so that's how I started getting coordinating positions as well. So yeah, it was just help other people, and people get to know you as a connector and somebody that they can talk to, even if you're not the right fit. I mean, even and that's how I that's how I started getting into casting. Was people were like, "Hey, Jana, you're an actor, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't. You're not the right fit for this role." I was like, "That's fine. I don't care. What's up?" And they're like, "Do you know anybody that is?" And so then I just started naturally referring a bunch of my acting friends, and then I started actually using the casting platforms and started working for other casting directors. But it was just be a connector and be helpful, and we're all trying to meet network. I mean, that's the thing. I think that sped up. I know that sped up the process.
I love that word, networking, because it gives people. I meet people that are like, yeah, gung ho about networking. And young people are like, I don't like it. It feels icky, pa pa pa. As someone
Yeah.
who has had these different experiences with networking, walk us through the process of doing it in a way that feels because it's a necessary part of the industry, any industry, period, the end. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Relationships are everything.
Yes.
Um, how does someone go about doing networking? And if someone feels weird or whatever about networking, how can they overcome that little hurdle and really embrace a necessary part of the industry?
Yeah, yeah. I think it, it goes back to your motives. And if you walk in being like, what am I going to get out of this for me today? So just like perfect example, yesterday I had to do a whole bunch of pitching for different film stuff and tech stuff I'm working on. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to be the right fit for me, but I'm going to go see what I can learn from it. And then also I'm adding to my toolbox of who I can connect to other people. And so that's what I encourage you guys to do. You will find other actors. Like I still have like memories of, they're like, "Oh, come meet these agents. They're going to be at this restaurant." And so you go and everybody's like piranhas around the agent tables. Ha ha, ha, here's my card. Here's da, da.
Mm.
And it's yeah, and like you can clearly feel the vibe is there. I'm here for me. What can I get out of this? What can I get out of this? And I spent a lot of time just meeting the other actors, but again, you'll find the vibes of the ones that are trying to self-promote, self-promote, self-promote. And it's not to the point where I don't want you to get so scared to talk about yourself and talk about what you're doing and offer and put it out there, but it's how do you make it a reciprocal relationship versus just shoving your card in somebody's hand, which I don't even know if they do that anymore. They're probably just texting you numbers, which that is important. Make sure you have a good virtual, like your card, and then text yourself there. Okay. Um, but yes, and so you don't need to be so concerned of how do I stand out and how do I get for me and how do da, da, da. It's just how do you go and you be a great person that people are liking and they get your energy is calm and you're not boastful and shovey and weird and um obnoxious about it, and just honestly. And so like I did find a little bit of time with the agents later, and it's not about, oh, okay, well, what can I say that's going to be unique and different, and da, da, da. I was just like, how are you? What's going on in your world? um do you like these kinds of things? I just honestly, I was like, just trying to be a real human with them. And then art of the follow-up, because it might not be perfect on that first meeting, but you can at least, follow up with a text or a tangible mailed letter or something, or an email the next day, just thanking them and reminding them. And it's a relationship. Don't expect everything to be perfect at the first one. Like you do not get married on the first date. You guys go through building the relationship over time.
Fantastic. Of the four pillars, what is the most important one?
Mindset.
Okay.
Mindset. 100%. Everything flows from it. Your heart and your mind. That is where everything flows from.
So mindset can be a bit amorphous.
Okay.
Define mindset and how someone goes about constructing, deconstructing the right mindset, the most generative mindset,
All
the
right, all right. Well,
healthiest mindset.
yeah, you already know what I'm going to say on that one, but I'll try and break it down, uh, as well in terms of, you gotta guard your heart because everything you do is flowing from it. Every,
Mm-hmm.
so it's why do you do the things you do? I mean, if you're an actor, what is your character's motivation? Hello, have you done a character study on yourself? What is your motivation? What do you want? What is the, well, I want to be a star. Okay. You want to be a star, your objective. Okay, I want to book this big role. Cool. Um, in order to what? So I always, when I break down my objectives, I go, I want or need blank from the other person in order to. And so the other person is the character. You have to tie your objective to somebody else. I know I'm totally going on a tangent, but you have to tie your objective to your scene partner. So in this instance, maybe you're the scene partner. And during, when you're doing a soliloquy or something like that. Hey, I'm helping your Shakespeare people. Um, Great. So
Appreciate
anytime. Except no, not anytime. Um, um, and so it's like, all right, so then you are in communication with yourself of what you want. So I want to I want to be a big name actor. Okay. In order to, you have to have that piece of your objective. Otherwise, so the example I use is I'm just like, if you have character A and character B, husband and wife, and he is saying, I um I want the money that's on the table. I want my wife to give me the money that's on the table. And then she is saying, I want him to give me the money that's on the table. Okay, that's one objective. But if you don't have the in order to, you don't have the parameters, then you don't really have the givens of the scene. So you will do anything. Like he could technically, to get his objective, he could pull out a handgun, off her and go get the
it.
money. Then he won. He got his objective. But he's like, I want her to give me the money because I want to go buy her a present so we can celebrate our anniversary. Yeah, that first choice of that would not have fit his objective. So it's the same thing with you. In order to what? Why? Why do you want this? Why do you want to achieve this goal? And if you find out that it's because I want my parents to be proud of me, or because I want to be seen, or because I want, somebody to validate who I am, one, that's exhausting. And
Mm.
two, I don't think that's the thing that's going to wake you up in the morning because that's still you, and you're the one waking yourself up in the morning. So you need something outside of yourself. So if you're doing this because, um, I truly, there is nothing else in this world that like, even when I put this down, I'm just constantly thinking about it, in terms of ideas. And yes, it brings me joy, but I definitely feel like I need to be there. And I don't know if it's because I'm supposed to share a message or I'm supposed to play a role that might be educational or supportive or whatever to other people. If that's what you continue to feel drawn to, and I'm not saying it's, oh, I need to be a social activist, I need to get this following so that then I can play this role and I can teach people this specific message. I'm like, you can go do that without being an actor. Start building some of that. If that's what's in your heart, then you can start building some of that without it. Know that that will put you into very specific roles in terms of if you are, promoting yourself and one specific message and it has to be this and it has to be that. I'm digressing. But you just got to get to the bottom of why are you doing all of this? And even if you don't fully know, because you're like, I don't understand it, Jana, but for whatever reason, nothing, like I wake up in the morning and go to bed at night, and something is telling me I need to be in this world. And I'm like, great, just make sure that that you have a piece about it it being for the bigger picture and for the greater good, and that there's something else. But if you will know, if you have that voice in your head that's like, I want this because I want to show XYZ. I want to be a success. I want this money. I want this title. I want this, that. You'll know that. And don't beat up on yourself for it, but just recognize it, sit with it, speak to that part of you, and just be like, but really, what is that born out of? Where is that coming from? And can you still refine your objective, aka refine your mindset of why you're going after this without that negative push and drive? Can you find something positive that is keeping you in and why you're wanting to do this?
Right. Marvel just moved out of ATL, or they're in the process of moving out, correct? I think they're going to go
Yeah,
do a lot of this stuff.
hearing a little bit of that. So I have no idea if that's 100%, a little bit. We'll find out.
Um, have you seen effects, because you're in the ATL, have you seen effects in the industry in that region yet, or is it something you foresee going to affect
It'll
some of the work
be,
coming?
I think as other states and everything are getting like wind of tax breaks and wanting to be a part of that for big production. So I'm sure it'll be a little bit of a hit, but um also I'm just seeing that casting is being more open to, so okay. So it used to be you have to be here, otherwise I'm not playing with you in terms of casting. So it would be like when I was doing New York stuff, it was like you have to live, in the city. I don't even want you in Connecticut. Like you need to be here. Like if I have an audition for you in 3 hours, you better get your butt there. Um, and so obviously in self-tape land, like that's not as big of a thing. Now you may have to pay your own way in terms of travel and per diem because oh my gosh, as a producer, when I have to break down the numbers on housing, it adds up. It is so much money. And so they really do not want to have to pay to house and feed and take care of you and everything.
Yeah.
So if you are going to work outside of your area, just be aware of that. But I am seeing more and more casting being okay with pulling people in from other areas and trusting people to take care of themselves. But it's definitely you're still going to need to be building those relationships with the casting directors, even if they are in other areas. I swear I'll bring this back to ATL.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you'll still want to build those relationships because if I have somebody that is going to have to drive 6 hours because I know that they say they're working as a local hire in Nashville, but they live in Atlanta, um, but they've auditioned for me 3 or 4 times. They seem very interested. We've had, the little interview I did with them seemed good. Then I'm more likely to take that risk. So while Atlanta, there is a possibility, like we're obviously the whole industry isn't Marvel down here. We have plenty of other stuff going on. So there may be a little bit of a hit, but I don't know. I hope that it's like, cool, we have some more studio space. Who else wants to come play? You know? That's my hope for that one. And I've worked with so hundreds of actors in this area, and very few that I've met that actually did connection to Marvel. I would say I met more production people that were connected to Marvel, so maybe some of the production people will be a little bit cranky about that. But Marvel still brought in because those are giant union studio blockbusters, they were flying in, talent from other areas and stuff. So we'll get through it. We'll be fine.
What is the protocol on? I've worked with representation that was like, even if you're in New York, tell them you're LA local hire, blah, 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 and then figure it out after the fact. So I'm sure if this person told me that, they told probably their whole roster that. And what is the protocol when it comes to you as a casting director, as an
Sure.
actor, sort of as a casting director? How does an actor
Sure.
navigate that?
It is a one, never lie. So just hard and fast rule, never lie. And you don't need to do this weird dance of speaking around the truth either, but you also don't need to just word vomit everything that's going on in your life because it's pretty normal. So you're in New York, your agent puts you out for something in LA and you're saying, I'm an LA local hire. And the casting director goes, "Oh my gosh, Laris, you're awesome. Let's bring you in." And they go, "Well, I would like to bring you in for a callback." Then you go, "Great. Well, thank you. I am currently working in New York and I'm not able to be in LA for a callback. Is there a way for me to do this as a self-tape or a Zoom?" "Oh, no, you absolutely have to be here." "Okay. Well, I am physically in New York right now. So I cannot, I'm so sorry, I cannot do, and if that's just what it is, then break it off there. It is. You've told them I'm physically in New York right now. I am working in New York right now. And they, again, if they come out and say, "Well, wait, do you live in New York?" "Yes, I spend most of my time in New York, but I'm also an LA local hire. I am currently working in New York, and so I am not in my LA time." Ideally, you have a friend or somebody that's letting you use, an LA crash pad address kind of a thing, if that's the case. But most of the time, like, we're just in a more interconnected and understanding. So I have a feeling that they'll be like, well, I know that the director really wanted to meet people, but by that point, you're probably at third, fourth, or fifth callback if it's that big of a deal. And probably even at that point, like, they're paying for you, like they're not as concerned about local hire on that scale. So local hire, like, the major concern for that tends to come from more uh lower tier jobs. And I just say lower tier in terms of, like, you are not the star of the TV show, you are not the star of the movie. But you're, mid-tier, walk on, anything like that. They're like, "Come on, guys, we need you to take care of your own room and board." So I imagine I'm just not hearing as many people having to even go in for an audition. Like, I'm still hearing plenty of people, even though they have to do Zoom 15 times, like, they're doing way more of that than having to go in for an audition. So have I completely gone off, or do you think I answered?
No, that was great. I think the more information we have in terms of how to navigate these sorts of things, I think the better
Yeah.
to make a decision. And yeah, you basically confirmed a lot of where I think that this individual was coming from, of why they told me to do that, which I didn't understand the full definition of local hire. I thought it meant I literally needed to reside in that residence. I didn't know it necessarily meant if I can make it work with someone and sort of be there and
There's
live.
a difference between saying I'm an LA local and I'm an LA local hire.
Yeah.
Yeah, two different things. Two different things completely. Yes.
So if they say you're an LA local, then it's like, look, I live in New York City
No, no, no,
XYZ.
no. I'm a local hire. I'm currently I'm spending the majority of my time here in New York, but
Mm-hmm.
I do have an address and the ability to come work locally in LA. So
Nice.
try and get your friend or somebody to put you up. I already have mine. I have my people that they will house me. So
Um, for actors that are looking to self-produce things,
Mhm.
which seems to be a definite trend. I mean, I've done it and I'm doing it now. How can they best evaluate their own skills and then figure out a way to build this sort of team to get their own productions off the ground?
Ooh, yes. Because when you wear 15 hats, you're just, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen the same way, or you'll get something out, but the quality isn't gonna be there because you can't be a jack of all trades. And so then a lot of times where it's coming, let's talk about two versions. One where how do you go about, okay, everybody wants to know this. How do you go about kind of figuring out the funding aspect of it? And then
Mm-hmm.
there's the version of just like, "Hey, we're getting some stuff together with friends." So getting stuff together with the friends is what is motivating them. Well, this my friend who's a writer, she wants to get her scripts made. Great. Oh, my friend who's a videographer wants to get more footage. Great. Oh, my friend who's an actor wants to get footage of acting. And I, as a director, want to get practice directing. And so, you guys pull together because you guys all want to get more credits for your resume and different and experience and different things like that. So that's one way of doing it. There are always going to be hard costs. Whether it's like, oh, we needed to eat food on the day, or we needed a prop, or we need this. And so you can do your best to source and bring all of that, but just be willing. If you're pulling, 6, 10, 12, 20 friends together to work on something, can we all manage $50 or $100 because we want to have some value, but then obviously you just really got to trust the producer to break down the how to spend that. So, okay, so that's one aspect. Then the other aspect, which this can apply for both, is you need to understand the order of operations. So the a good project, you have to have a good script. It drives me bananas. In terms of I'm working on major blockbusters and stuff right now, which is pretty cool. Um, and but it's been exhausting because you're playing with investors on a whole different game. And so many my team and we already know that we're interacting with the wrong people when they go, yeah, we don't care about the script. What stars do you have attached? And we're just like, no, the star does not yield that you're automatically going to make your money back. That's a whole other game. But we're always looking to coordinate with people that are like, tell me about the script, tell me about the story, tell me about this. And so as soon as we hear that in a meeting, we're like, yes, okay, we can continue this. And it is true, everything flows from the script. You have to have good, because that is your blueprint of what you are trying to create. And
Mhm.
so then you have to break it down. You need a good producer that's going to go through and find out every single element, every prop, every set change, how many crew do you need? And so and then, creating your schedule and your day out of days of, okay, well, we can save money by not having to do a company move. We can get everybody filming on this day or that day. We can stay in this one location and we can find this room equals this room. So, like, you just really do need somebody who's very smart, who's going to piece the puzzle together, and
Mhm.
help you figure that. And then once you know what you need, that's when you do the numbers. It cracks me up. And so I know that I said earlier, I was like, oh, I don't know, do you have 20 people and you each pull $100 together or something? That is rough when you're just like, oh, here's my budget and make it work. And so that's a major red flag for us when we're having our negotiation deals and everything. When people are like, well, I'll just give you this. And I'm just like, we just told you the minutia. We have done our stuff down to the penny. We've gotten like 2, 3, 4 vendors worth of research on every line item. And we're like, we just told you what we need. And you're telling us that. And so we're like, okay, we'll put you down for that. But then we need to go find another investor to make up the difference. I'm not gonna, anyways, side note. So for people doing it themselves, really try and break down, okay, in a perfect world, if I had my full budget, this is what it would be. And try and let what I was saying by vendors is really getting multiple people. If one camera house is telling you it's going to be this much for a package, lens package or whatever, go to another one and see who has the better rate. That's good life skills. If you're, spending money, you should probably not just whatever it through. So there's that. And then once you have a good, clean package together, a developed budget, and then you start putting a pitch deck together, which again, you don't, and actually you might not want to attach actors right away because different investors are going to want different things. Um, um, but maybe if we're looking at like the lower tier, it's how do I win a script contest? That brings credibility to what we're doing. How do we make a short version of this and put it through a film festival? That wins credibility. But do you guys hear how all this stuff takes time?
Mhm.
And I think that that's part of what happens is we're in our microwave society where we all want it today or yesterday. And we're like kind of nervous to put in the work. And we're just like, yeah, but I want it now. And there's so many people that want it now. And, but if you take the time, put in the good work, take the time to be building relationships and credibility, um, and staying consistent, like that's the biggest thing I can say on that one. Don't take the first, well, you've heard the stories. Oh, Harry Potter was turned down 100 times for its manuscript, Dr. Seuss 1,000 times or whatever. And No, but they just kept going and, belief in what they were doing and take feedback. If there, you don't have to say yes to every feedback, but take it. And if there is legitimate, if you're hearing the same thing more than once, maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe there's some things to be looking into and making adjustments to. So,
I love it.
yeah.
Where do you see the industry moving in the next 5 to 10 years?
I know exactly where I think it's gonna go. I'm going, I'm okay. I um I think the casting process needs to clean up. I'm not going to go too in depth with that because I do have a couple of NDAs. But I'm very passionate about that. I want to get more actors in the right roles. And I think that we're going to continue to be more interconnected, in terms of people not being as scared of hiring outside of like just being in different areas of the country. But if you have your relationships and your network and you do good work, I mean, we have stars that are not living in LA, not living in New York, they're living in Wisconsin or whatever, but they get called into stuff. So build your network. Yes, you may need to spend some time a little bit in a hub, or when you do get hired on something, stay some extra days, take some extra classes while you're there, make the most of your time to continue to build networks. Um, but I think we're going to continue to see things spreading out throughout the US in terms of more access to roles and locations. And I think that technology is going to help us, um, potentially bring down costs of productions to get even more story out there. Entertainment, the US Bureau of Labor Statistics was saying between 2020 and 2030, we're going to see a 32% growth in demand for actors.
Oh, wow.
And I think that we're continuing to grow. I definitely do. Um, so I think we're going to continue to see a boom, and I would really advise anybody to be careful when they're the first thing we said when we first got on of like, there's people that are saying that, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of another student I met today. Okay, I'm sorry. I was meeting, I met a new student today and he had just moved to Atlanta and he was so concerned. He was like, oh, I've been hearing these people that are like, oh, well, good luck. You shouldn't have moved here. And I'm like, get out of here with that. You're going to find that anywhere where people are going to be like, well, this wasn't it, or we're doing awful, or this. And I'm like, cool. You just told me how you're doing. I'm sorry, you're not doing great. I'm going to go look for my own opportunities. I'm going to, I'm gonna follow the path. We're gonna see what happens. So don't stress that. Even when you hear from multiple industry professionals, I unfortunately have met so many negative people,
Mm,
just because it's not looking exactly how it did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, does not mean that there isn't still opportunity around. So just get a thick skin around not just rejection of like, oh, I didn't want to hire you, but just get a thick skin around listening to negative people. That's gotta, you don't need none of that. Nope, nope, nope.
right. And what's next for you?
What's next for me? I am really focused on uh my technology in terms of I'm trying to, or I do have versions out there, and we're releasing a new version later this month, where I can coach more actors than I have time for. So what I mean by that is, you'll have access to uploading photos and videos and resumes and screenshots of your social media, screenshots of your casting profiles, and getting feedback on it. And asking questions on, hey, here's my career strategy, or I want to do this agent cover letter, or Laris. I've tried to been training some of it on Shakespeare stuff. But we always have like, this is a tool, and then what we're continuing to build out is a network of, as you use the tool, how do you go find real life people you could be interacting with as well. So that's my heart and soul, is taking more time than I ever thought it possibly would, but that's what I've been telling you guys. Trust the process. Same with, I am on a film project that I've been working on for 5 years. And I was like, yeah, we'll get it. Like definitely those first 2 years, every like 3 months, I was like, this is the month. Okay, this is the month. And it's just like I didn't you don't know what you don't know, but
Hmm.
you learn so much along the way. So I don't know. I'm going to tell y'all. Really feel like before the end of the year, one of these films I'm going to be able to put a hard date on. Because but you know what? I'm just going to trust the process. Keep having all of my investor meetings, keep having all of my development meetings, and keep saying yes and meeting more people. That's what's up.
I love it. Jana Burnette, where can people check out your stuff, get in contact with you to work with you? And
Sure, sure. You can go to theactorscode.com. We're overhauling some stuff here to make it more accessible for when we do that tech launch. So I would say go ahead and feel free to reach out to me directly at info@theactorscode.com. And that is the actors with an S code.com. And that'll do. So you can find our Facebook page as well. We're not as active there. Go ahead and reach out to me directly. I would do that. Yeah, just
uh,
do it.
and you also have a book people can buy from Amazon. What's it called?
Oh, shucks. Thanks. I forget about that. Yes, okay, so the book is called Technically an Actor. And so it is the Actor's Technology Handbook. And so it is very much for you guys on learning how to um everything that I'm building into my tech. I first put it in a book as proof of concept, and I'm telling you, that's what it is, and more. But it's gonna walk you through what the marketing materials are that you need, how you decipher your brand, so all those data points we were talking about earlier. And then really how do you present yourself and do these submission techniques and understand the technology pieces that you're going to need to be successful. So it's on Amazon, hard copy or Kindle, any of that, just say hi. I would love to get y'all's feedback on how you're utilizing it. That's always my favorite thing.
I love it. We're gonna put all that information down at the description below so people can click on stuff and check you out. And this was incredible. So many gold nuggets. And I recommend you guys watch this over and over and over again and work with Jana because she's a class act and knows her stuff.
Yeah.
So
Thanks, Laris. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed this.
it's a pleasure. All right, guys. Till next time. Ciao.